What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Dallas Cowboy preview video brought to you by the Playbook Sports Podcast. My name is Colin, and I'm here to preview Dallas Cowboys Week 12 game, or Week 13 game, against those Seattle Seahawks coming to Dallas on Thursday night. Both teams getting a full week rest, a normal week's worth of rest, as they both played last Thursday night on Thanksgiving. And so neither team really comes in with that extra advantage as far as rest goes.
Before we get into today's video, guys, I just want to give a special shout out to today's sponsors, starting with Gold Fine and Bowles, Lawyers for the Injured. Personal injury, workers' compensation, those are their two things, but any sort of legal advice, they're the people to call. Give them a phone call, 309-673-5144. Tell them we sent you, okay? And I'd also like to shout out SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video as well. Use promo code PlaybookSports on their website to get $20 off your first purchase of $30 or more. Let's get back to the video.
Looking at a couple of these teams are trending. Looking at both these teams are trending in different directions. Dallas is starting to trend up after that loss to Philadelphia, winning their last three games against, let's call it what it is, lackluster opponents. Whereas Seattle's starting to trend a little downward. They lost a game they probably should have won in LA against the Rams 2 weeks ago. And then they got the 49ers in Seattle on Thanksgiving. And we all know how good the 49ers are, especially when they're fully healthy. And they did the damn thing in Seattle last week. So Seattle's loser of a couple straight here, coming into Dallas, who's a winner of a few straight. And Dallas is undefeated, one of three teams to still be undefeated at home this season. And I did see a statistic earlier today that Dallas is the first team in NFL history to start their season or their first 5 home games to win all 5 by 20 plus points. Do that with what you will. They really haven't played that many great opponents at home. So take that with a grain of salt. Looking at this game here, just comparing the two teams first off, let's start with some individual statistics. Geno Smith, 65% completion on the year. He's about 17th in the NFL in completion percentage, a statistic he led the league in last season. So kind of, is Geno turning into a pumpkin? Is he back to the old Geno, or was it a one-year fluke? Or can he continue the success he had last year? 65% completion this year. Almost 2,600 yards, 2,584. That's about 235 yards per game. Has 12 passing touchdowns to 8 interceptions. So okay statistics, not great, not awful. Honestly, kind of middle of the pack statistics across the board as far as completion, yards, touchdowns, interceptions. Dak Prescott on the opposite side, 70% completion, very good. A little over 2,900 yards, 2,935 yards, comes out to about 267 per game. 23 passing touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Who in week 13 or going into week 13, who after 12 weeks had Dak Prescott leading the NFL in passing touchdowns? I'll go ahead and hold my breath because I doubt a lot of people had that. He's 5th in the NFL in yards per game passing, or yards total passing, and 1st in passing touchdowns on the season. So advantage Cowboys as far as the quarterback goes. Looking in the backfields here, more than likely not getting Kenneth Walker in this game. He's doubtful this week. He didn't practice with an oblique injury that he suffered in that 49ers game. So it's likely going to be rookie Zach Charbonnet, who in 10 of the 11, he's only played 10 of the 11 games this season, 67 carries for 308 yards. That's 4.6 yards per carry. That's pretty good. 4.5 yards per carry, about 30.8 yards per game. So obviously, he was the number 2 in that system. So obviously the 31 yards per game doesn't reflect how much touches and how much usage he's gotten through the first 10 games he's played of his career. On the opposite side, Tony Pollard's kind of turned it on the last couple of weeks. Something I've been praying for. Please, Tony, we need a run game to go with Dak's great passing success so far to start the season. Tony Pollard, 160 carries, 669 yards. Nice. That's about 4.2 yards per carry. Anything over 4 I will take, but I prefer that to be closer to 5 if possible, Tony. A little under 61 yards per game, 60.8 to be exact, 4 rushing touchdowns, and a couple of those have came in the last few weeks. So advantage Cowboys in the quarterback, and I'm going to give advantage to the Cowboys in the running back as well. Let's look at these two teams' receiving cores. DK Metcalf's only played 10 of the 11 games for the Seahawks this year. He is their leading receiver with 43 catches for 678 yards, 3 touchdowns on those 43 receptions, and a little under 68 yards per game, 67.8 to be exact. 15.8 yards per catch. So whenever he's getting these receptions, he's turning them into big gains, and he's going down the field to get them. A solid number 2, one of the better number 2s in the league, kind of an underrated player. There's Tyler Lockett. He's played all 11 games for Seattle this year, 54 catches, 575 yards. That's 10.6 per catch. Has 4 touchdowns. That's the most receiving on their team, 52.3 yards per game. JSN, a rookie who really started off rough to start his career the first 5 weeks of the season. It was like, You never heard his name. I thought this guy was going to be a fantasy sleeper and a really good number 3 option for Seattle, who I thought would be, in contention for that division this season. 11 games played, 38 receptions, 406 yards, a little over 10 yards per catch, 2 receiving touchdowns and about 37 yards per game. Rookie receiver number 3 in that system, a lot of mouths to feed, but JSN, we expect a little bit more from you this year. Put that in comparison with Dallas's wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb is one of the best in the league. It's funny, people thought he was fringe top 10, thought he wasn't a number 1 wide receiver. Richard Sherman, 78 catches on the year, 1,066 yards. That's about 14 yards per reception, a little under 13.7 to be exact. 6 receiving touchdowns and 97 receiving yards per game. Insane. He's been absolutely unreal this year. Number 2 has been the Brandon Cook show. And it's been coming on as late as well. 33 catches on the year, 452 yards. That's about 13.7. Him and CeeDee Lamb have the same yards per catch, which is a little crazy in my opinion. Just showing finally they're letting Brandon Cooks extend the field. Finally, they're using his speed and his skills, his assets in the right manner. So 33 catches, 452 yards, 13.7 yards per catch. He does have 4 touchdowns on the season receiving, which is tied for the second most on the Cowboys team. A little over 45 yards per game. Third option here is not a third receiver. It is Jake Ferguson, the tight end here in Dallas. 40 catches, 421 yards, 10.5 per catch. 4 receiving touchdowns, ties Brandon Cooks for second most, averaging just 38.5 yards per game. I'd say that's a wash, honestly, because I like CD more than DK, but I like Lockett more than Cooks. I probably like Ferguson. Ferguson and Jason are probably a wash. So as far as positional group, as far as the receivers go, I'd probably say Dallas and Seattle have a wash at that position. Looking at a couple of the team's lead defenders here, Bobby Wagner, what a revelation he has been for Seattle, a guy that they shipped out of town a few years ago. Hey, go to the Rams, go wherever you want. You're old. We don't want to pay you. And all he did was come back this season, leading the team. I think he's leading the league, or one of the league leaders in tackles, 113 tackles on the season, 2.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. It's like he never left. He's still elite middle linebacker in this league, and he will be until the day he retires. Next one up here, I'm going to talk about Quandre Diggs. A little bit later, he's going to be my defensive X factor for Seattle in this game. 11 games played, 61 tackles, 3 passes defense, only 1 interception. Has been kind of run-of-the-mill safety. Some highs, some lows from Quandre this year, and we'll talk about him a little bit later on here. On the opposite side of the ball, we got to talk about Micah Parsons. Only 40 tackles through 11 games, which is a little low for him. But then you look at the stats and you see he's got 11.5 sacks and then 13 tackles for losses, with getting a fumble force and a fumble recovery as well. He's just doing the damn thing again. He's going to have 15 plus sacks any year of his career he wants. That's just how elite he is. And then the second guy we're going to talk about here is Deron Bland. Can't talk about him enough. 5th round rookie out of Fresno State, 2nd year player. 5th round pick, not 5th round rookie. 5th round pick out of Fresno State, 2nd year player this year. 48 tackles on the season. 1 of those tackles are for a loss. Has defended 13 passes. Leads the league in 7 interceptions, and he set the record last week for most pick sixes in a single season by a single player with 5 pick sixes. Absolutely insanity what he's doing this year. And thank goodness he is, because with Trayvon Diggs going down, we needed somebody to step up, and Deron Bland has been that guy. So comparing the two teams here, Dallas averages 31.5 points per game to Seattle's 20.8. So Dallas averages about 11 more points per game offensively. They have a 47.7% conversion rate on third down compared to Seattle's 31.3. So about 16.5 percentage points better on third down. Dallas is offensively. You look at the pass game stats as well. Dallas averages about 262.5 per game, 23 passing touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Compare that to Seattle's 221.8 passing yards per game, 12 passing touchdowns to 9 interceptions. So Dallas is operating about 40 yards more through the air every game, and they have about a 3-to-1 interception or touchdown to interception ratio, where Seattle has like a 1.3 touchdown interception ratio. Both these offensive lines have been surprisingly good this year. Seattle's only allowed 27 sacks offensively, and Dallas has only allowed 23 offensively. So both teams have done a great job of scheming it up to get the ball out of their quarterback's hands quickly and to take care of their quarterback. 27 sacks for Seattle. They had a season high allowed last week with 6 against San Fran, and here comes Dallas. So hopefully they can replicate some of the things San Francisco did last week, and that'll lead to some success in this game. Looking at the rushing for both teams offensively, Seattle averages about 96 rushing yards per game, has 7 rushing touchdowns on the season. You look at the other side, Dallas averages about 115 rushing yards per game and has 10 rushing touchdowns on the season. Rico Dowdle's been a great backup to Tony Pollard this year. And it's kind of been that explosive change of pace back, kind of what Tony Pollard was to Zeke Elliott. That's what Rico Dowdle is now to Tony Pollard. So Dallas averages about 20 more rushing yards per game, has 3 more rushing touchdowns on the season. Looking at the total offenses here, Dallas averages about 392.5 yards per game to Seattle's 336.7. That's about, give or take, 55 to 60 yard differential per game for Dallas. Dallas has a +7 turnover differential to Seattle's +2. So both these teams do a great job of taking care of the ball and taking the ball away. Dallas just does a little bit better job than Seattle. So let's go ahead and get to the X factors. As I mentioned, offensively, we're going to go with Tyler Lockett as the X factor here for the Seattle Seahawks. A guy I love watching. I think he's going to be paired up with either Stephon Gilmore or Deron Bland most of the game, as they're going to let Jordan Lewis probably go with JSN in the slot. Can Tyler Lockett be that guy? Can he get open? Can he be available? Can he make big plays down the field for Geno Smith and the Seahawks in this game? I think he's going to have a really good game if Seattle has a chance in this game. I'm not sure their rushing attack offensively with Charbonnet and then DJ Dallas behind them is going to have much success against that Dallas front. I think they're going to have to beat Dallas through the air. Tyler Lockett, can you do it? I already previewed him. I spoiled him earlier. Quandre Diggs is going to be our defensive X factor here for Seattle. I mentioned it, only 61 tackles in 11 games. Actually, it was pretty good for a safety. 3 passes defense, 1 interception. He's going to have to be the playmaker here. We know what Tariq Woolen, we know what Devin Witherspoon are on the outside. They're elite young corners. Can Quandre Diggs defend the slot? Can he be that safety over the top and help these young corners on the outside contain CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks in this Dallas pass attack? Let's go look at the Dallas Cowboys side here. We're going to go Jake Ferguson as the X factor here. As I mentioned, averaging about 39 yards per game, second on the team and receiving touchdowns. Last week, he only had 1 catch for 35 yards. It was an absolute necessity in the game as Dallas had 1st and 15 on their own 5. That 1 catch for 35 yards got them from their own 5 to their own 40. And it was an absolute dot from Dak Prescott between 3 defenders, got it over the linebacker between the 2 safeties. Great throw. But Jake Ferguson, we're going to need more than just 1 catch for 35 yards. You are the Dallas Cowboys offensive X factor for this game. The defensive X factor, I've went back and forth on it, and I'm going to go Jordan Lewis, a guy I've been very critical of this year, and his play has really turned around as of late. Now, does that help when you're playing kind of these quarterbacks Dallas is playing? Absolutely. But you only play who you're scheduled, and you can only play your schedule. I don't know how to say that. You can only play your schedule. You can only play who's in front of you, and you can't critique anybody for beating the doors off of whoever's in front of you, because guess what? If you won by 1 score or you lost, for heaven's sakes, everyone's going to be burying you. Jordan Lewis, your Dallas Cowboys X factor defensively in this game for me. Let's go. Let's shut down JSN. Let's have a day. Take away the underneath security blanket for Geno Smith. So let's get to the 5 keys for a Dallas Cowboy victory here. Number 1 is going to be red zone offense until the day I die. Last week might have been the first week all season. Dallas was perfect in the red zone. They got down there 3 times. They scored 3 touchdowns. I cannot complain about that at all. I was absolutely thrilled to see them succeed down there in a place they've struggled most of the year. Is that a sign of things moving forward? Hopefully that's trending in the right direction. Number 2, you're take care of the football, plain and simple. Win the turnover battle. If you don't turn it over yourselves, you don't give short fields, you don't give up a defensive score or a special team score, take care of the football. If you win the turnover margin, you more than likely win the game. I know last Monday night, Chicago almost, took it away 4 times and then lost the game. But hey, you take it away 4 times, you got to win the game. That's what Dallas has to do here. They got to take care of the ball. They can't give it away. And on the opposite side, they got to take it away. Number 3 here is going to be to shut down the running attack of the Seahawks. As I mentioned, they only average about 96 rushing yards per game, and Charbonnet only averages about 31 himself per game. But if you take away the running game and you force these 3rd and long situations and you let this defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys and the secondary of the Dallas Cowboys as well, give them opportunities to make plays, and they've shown it over and over again, they're going to make the play. So eliminate the running attack for the Seahawks offense, make them drop back and pass, and let these guys get home. Let these guys rear back their ears and go get them. Number 4 here is going to go with my offensive X factor. It's going to be a little 2-for-1 here. Keep Jake Ferguson involved. Listen, he had 1 catch in the first half of that game, and he just didn't sniff any action since. Keep Jake Ferguson involved. He's your number 2 or number 3. With Brandon Cooks coming on, Ferguson probably slides to your number 3 option, but keep him involved. Every quarterback's best friend is the tight end across the middle. So keep Ferguson involved and hit him whenever he's open. Easier said than done. Obviously, I'm sitting here in my bedroom, critiquing, giving game plan. Number 5 here is plain and simple. Don't look ahead. Simple look ahead spot. You got Philadelphia coming to Dallas next week. You got Philly playing San Fran this week. And everybody's thinking, what if San Francisco goes into Philly and wins, and then Dallas beats Philly next week, or Dallas gets to face Philly next week for a chance to tie them as far as record go and division go. You can't look ahead. You got to beat Seattle on Thursday, and then you can think about Philly starting Friday. So don't look ahead in this spot. Take care of the business in front of you. I know Seattle 6-5, so guess what? If you beat Seattle, all of a sudden you still haven't beaten a winning team, because it doesn't matter when you play the team. It just matters what the team's record is whenever everybody wants to make their case and to fit their narrative. So just take care of the team in front of you. You're undefeated at home this season. You've won 13 straight home games. You got a team limping in Seattle who's banged up and is trending downward, and you're trending upward, and you're really good at home. Take care of business. So let's get to the final verdict for the Dallas Cowboys home game in Week 13 against the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. Final verdict brought to you by the law offices of Gold, Fine, and Bulls. Check them out. We got their information everywhere. Great guys over there. They'll take care of anything you need. Go ahead and let them know. I don't know what else to say at the end of that. Final score here for the Dallas Cowboys and Seattle Seahawks game. I have the Dallas Cowboys beating the Seattle Seahawks 27-16 on Thursday night, barely covering that big 9-point spread. And I think this is going to be another primetime under. Primetime unders are 29-9 this season, which is insane to think about. But I think we're going to see another one here. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment down below. What do you think of the recap here? Or what do you think of the preview video here? Leave a comment with your final score prediction as well. Check out our other videos. We have our full game picks for the full Week 13 slate coming out. As far as some of our other segments here with the Playbook Sports Podcast. Thank you guys for watching. We will have the recap coming on sometime this weekend, Friday or Saturday. Make sure to check that out. Thank you guys again. Have a great one.